Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Inna alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we begin today by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send Him abundant praise, hamd. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings on our beloved messenger, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and his family and his companions and all those who follow his righteous path till the day of judgment. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from amongst those people. Ameen. Alhamdulillah, today we gather here at this khutbah, this Jum'ah, and we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the will and the ability to be here. That not only we had the physical means to come here, but we also wanted to be here, alhamdulillah. And all of us, we came here with a story. Everyone, the brothers and the sisters, we're all dealing with difficulties and hardships and struggles in our own life. And everyone has their own difficulties and struggles. And the examples for this in the Quran and the life of Rasulullah ﷺ, there is always lessons to be drawn. So this is what we will be talking about today, bi'idhnillah, learning from how the Rasulullah ﷺ and how the different prophets would deal with the trials and tribulations in their life. Allah Azza wa Jal, my brothers and sisters, we must know He did not send us here for a vacation on this earth. Subhanallah. We are here for a purpose. We are here for a mission. And Allah Azza wa Jal has promised the believers that He will test His servants. That the shaitan says, maybe that there's this thought, that comes to our head, that maybe I'm tested by Allah because of a sin I did. Maybe Allah Azza wa Jal hates me. Maybe I have no worth in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So oftentimes we fall into this feeling that bad things are happening to us because Allah Azza wa Jal hates us or He is upset with us. Of course, sins have their negative consequences in this life and the hereafter. But how we respond to the trials and tribulations in our life determine whether that trial was in fact a punishment or it was a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where Allah Azza wa Jal wanted to raise our status. Because you as an individual, Allah Azza wa Jal wants you to reach a certain level in Jannah. He loves you, He wants you to reach that level, but Allah Azza wa Jal knows that based on your little good deeds here and there, you are not going to be able to reach that high level that Allah Azza wa Jal wants for you. So Allah Azza wa Jal gives you these tests and trials and tribulations so that you may pass these tests with sincerity, with sabr, that Allah Azza wa Jal may raise your rank in the hereafter. And that's the ultimate blessing, that's the ultimate success that anyone can have. Allah Azza wa Jal tests those He loves, and the most beloved to Him are the ones who were tested the most. Allah Azza wa Jal states in Surah Al-Ankabut, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون ألف لام ميم. Do the people think that they will be left to say we believe and they will not be tried? Meaning that saying La ilaha illallah, saying we believe, is the first part of the equation. Then Allah Azza wa Jal will test you to see the sincerity of that belief, to see the strength behind that belief. And we know from Surah Al-Mulk, Allah Azza wa Jal says also in the beginning of that surah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Tabarak alladhi biyadihi al-mulku wa huwa ala kulli shayin qadir. Blessed is He in whose hands is the dominion, and He is over all things powerful and competent. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. He who created death and life to test you as to which of you is best indeed. Again, ليبلوكم, so that He may test you, and He is the exalted in might. And Allah Azza wa Jal says, will people just say they believe and they won't be tested? When you love Allah, Allah Azza wa Jal tests you the most. So we see a real example in our life today where Muslims who are being tested for their belief all over the world. But want to call special attention, want to make special dua for those brothers and sisters who are the scholars and the activists of this ummah, who sacrificed their lives and livelihood for this ummah. So scholars who spoke out the truth. And because of their speaking the truth, they are being held in prisons and tortured, because they do not want to mislead the people. The tyrants and the dictators want them to say a certain line, a certain phrase, and they refuse to do so because they don't want to mislead the people. And because of that, they're thrown into prison. But they're following the example of the righteous men who came before them, like Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah, who also went to prison because he did not want to support the ideology of the dictators and the tyrants of his time. And Allah Azza wa Jal will always test the value of your iman. Shaykh Hussein, Mufti Hussein Kamani, who I took most of the material for this khutbah from, he said that he learned something from his teacher. Having Allah with you does not mean that sailing in a sea with no waves. Having Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with you means sailing in a ship that no storm can destroy. So oftentimes we ask, of course we should ask for a life of ease and afiyah, tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But having Allah Azza wa Jal with us means that no matter what difficulties come our way, Allah Azza wa Jal will take care of us. So we learn the story of Ayyub alayhi salam, who was a prophet that was, his story is literally known, famous for the hardships and the trials that he was tested with. So we learn in the Quran, Ayyub alayhi salam, difficulties after difficulties. Too many to even mention in this khutbah. But he had a very difficult life and he bore it with patience. And what was the response of Ayyub alayhi salam, as is recorded in the Quran? وَأَيُّوبَ إِذْ نَادَى رَبُّهُ أَنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. So when Ayyub alayhi salam was going through a difficult trial and challenge, what was his response? It was this beautiful dua that he made. He said, my Lord, indeed adversity has touched me and you are the most merciful of the merciful. So here Ayyub alayhi salam, he has this intimate relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ayyub alayhi salam does not even need to mention the hardships and trials he's going through. He knows Allah Azza wa Jal knows what he's going through, but he is saying, Ya Allah, these are difficulties and indeed you are the most merciful. Calling out to him by his beautiful attributes, understanding the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of Arham ar-Rahimeen, and Allah Azza wa Jal, from that he had mercy with him and he blessed him by removing the trials and challenges that he had. And we learn from the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam that when he was a young man, and the people of his town, the tyrants, they wanted to throw him into the fire. So they built a huge fire, and the fire was so big that the heat was so intense that they could not even go near it to put Ibrahim in that fire. So they had to build a machine like a catapult that they would put Ibrahim alayhi salam, this young man, and then they would launch him into the fire. And in that moment, Ibrahim alayhi salam made this beautiful dua, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Indeed, Allah Azza wa Jal is sufficient for us and He is the best disposer of our affairs. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do as a result? Did He remove the fire? No. The fire was still there. But the difficulty that this fire would have had on Ibrahim alayhi salam, He removed that difficulty. Meaning that when we recite this dua, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, the difficulties might still be there, but Allah Azza wa Jal will give us the strength to carry on and push through those difficulties. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his life itself filled with amazing moments of hardships and difficulties, trials and challenges after challenges. But one of the most difficult days in his life, as he himself stated, was the day of Taif, when he went to call the people of Taif and they treated him with so much humiliation and indignity. And we all know that when they threw the stones at him, to the point that he was bleeding so profusely that the blood had pooled in his sandals, to that level, he then made this, when he escaped the city, he made this dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This dua is so beautiful in its words, it shakes your heart. He says, "Oh Allah, I complain to you of my weakness and lack of resources, my humiliation before mankind. You are the most merciful of those who show mercy. You are the Lord of the weak, and you are my Lord. To whom do you entrust me? To someone distant that attacks me, or to an enemy that you gave control over my affairs? If you are not angry with me, then I do not care. But your protection is much better and more ample for me. I seek protection in the light of your face, which illuminates the darkness and through which all affairs in this life and the hereafter become right." So this beautiful dua, Rasulullah is going through that hardship, going through that difficulty and trial. But his main concern is not his own physical well-being or the physical well-being of his companion who was with him. But his main concern was, "Ya Allah, as long as you are not angry with me, I can go through any trial and difficulty, any trial and hardship." And there was a famous poet in the earlier part of the independence of the Indian subcontinent, Pakistan, India. His name was Sayyid Sadiq Hussain Qazi. He wrote this poetry to raise the morale of the Muslims who were fighting for independence against colonialism. And he says in this poetry, "Tunde baade mukhalif se na ghabraye o e awqab, ye to chalti hai tujhe uncha urane ke liye." The translation is, "Don't fear the intensity of the opposing wind, O eagle. It only blows to help you fly even higher." Meaning that when an eagle is flying in the high altitudes and a huge gust of wind hits it, in that moment it has a choice. If it puts its beak down and just kind of capitulates to that wind, it's going to crash into the ground. But if it raises its beak high, lifts up its chest, then that wind is going to take it even higher. So these challenges and trials that affect us in our life are not there to put us down, but they are there to raise our station even higher in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to finally end the first part of the khutbah with a difficult moment in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the earlier part of Mecca. This was a time when the Quraysh were at their peak of fighting against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, persecuting his companions. And this was a moment when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he lost one of his children. One of his children died. And for those parents who might be here, or those you know whose children have passed away, there's an example in the life of Rasulullah ﷺ that we can draw hope from, inshallah. And the Quraysh were so adamant in the way they were insulting the Prophet ﷺ when his son passed away, that they were saying that our gods are so angry with you that they're false gods, of course, they caused your son to die. And this was, according to some narrations, and learned this from Mufti Hussain Kamani, he said that according to some narrations, this was even a time when there was a gap in the revelation. So the Quran, the Wahi, there was a gap. And Rasulullah was not receiving revelation for some time. And the Quraysh used this as an advantage, and they said, even your own God abandoned you. Even your own Rabb has abandoned you. And now we are going to do to you what we want to do to you. And even though Rasulullah knows he is the Prophet of God, these were his own people, his own tribe, his own family. Like, this really affected him. This really hurt him. So Allah Azza wa Jal sent Jibreel alayhi salam, the angel of revelation, to give the good news to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Jibreel alayhi salam came down with the ayat of Surah Al-Duha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. What duha? By the morning brightness. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. and by the night when it covers. Meaning that what duha? When the morning comes, indeed after every period of darkness, there is light. There is going to be a morning. So if you are going through a difficult trial in your life, have hope that good times are ahead. Good times are coming. And by the night when it covers with darkness, مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. Your Lord has not taken leave of you, Muhammad, nor does He hate you, nor does He detest you. Meaning that, Ya Muhammad, I love you. I have not left you alone. Beautiful words, that this is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are times of light where everything's going great in life, everything's good. We got the home, our children are doing well in school, and then there's times of hardship. We lose that job, sickness in the family. We all know, we've all been through that. And then Allah states, وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ الْأُولَى. Ya Muhammad, this life is difficult. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ الْأُولَى. And the hereafter is better for you than the first life. Meaning that this is a life of trials and challenges, but what I have prepared for you in the hereafter is much better than this. But Rasulullah is like, Ya Allah, but this is really hard, it's very difficult. No one's listening to me. You know, all of these, my own people have abandoned me. وَلَا سَوْفَ يَؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. And your Lord is going to give you and you will be satisfied. Meaning, the hereafter, Allah will give you so much that you will be taken care of. And these are not just ayat for Rasulullah, but these are ayat for us as well. Alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa. So now Allah has lifted up the spirits of Rasulullah strengthened his willpower again. I have not left you. I'm right there with you. I have prepared beautiful, amazing things for you in the hereafter, in Jannah. So what is next? What is next for us? Alam yajidka yatiman awa. Then Allah reminds Rasulullah where He brought the Prophet from. He said, did He not find you an orphan and give you refuge? Reminding Rasulullah, Ya Muhammad, you were an orphan and I took care of you. Your parents passed away, but I sent people who were there for you every step of the way. I never abandoned you. Reminding him that these are difficult challenges. I won't abandon you now, just as I didn't abandon you before. وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًا فَهَدَى. And He found you lost and He guided you. Ya Muhammad, you did not know the truth and I gave you the haqq, I gave you the truth, I gave you the guidance. That we were lost and Allah helped us out of our difficult situation. وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. And He found you poor and He made you self-sufficient. Rasulullah came from a life of poverty, but Allah strengthened him. Subhanallah. So now Allah has reminded the Prophet, I will never abandon you, never leave you. Reminding him of his past. I always was there to take care of you. So what's next? What's next for us is our mission. Is our mission in this life. That despite the hardships and difficulties, we push forward. فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. So as for the orphan, do not oppress him. Take care of those in your society. Take care of the homeless people. Take care of the orphans who are in need of our help and assistance locally and internationally as well. وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. And as for the petitioner, do not repel him. Those who come asking for your help, you're seeking your help, do not repel them. Do not push them away. Meaning that when you're going through your own trial and difficulty, Allah is reminding you that you are here for a mission, and I want you to be of service to humanity, to be of service to mankind. And the last ayah of Surah Al-Duha, وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. And as for the favor of your Lord, report it. Meaning that always engage in the remembrance of Allah. Always have remembrance of the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on you. As we know from Surah Ibrahim, the ayah, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. Meaning that if you are grateful, I will increase you in favor. This is a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if you are grateful, that Allah will increase you in that favor. Subhanallah. This was the last ayah of Surah Al-Duha. Every Friday there is an hour where Allah accepts the dua. Pray this is the hour and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness and make dua for the Muslim Ummah. وَقُولُ قَوْلِي هَذَا وَاسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ وَلَكُمْ. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So reminding ourselves that yes, my brothers and sisters, life will throw all sorts of tests and difficulties at us. But reminding ourselves of these ayat that we studied here today, that Allah Azza wa Jal will never let us go as long as we don't let go of Him. Always holding on to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, holding on to the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal tightly and not becoming divided as a community, alhamdulillah. And so we are here today, inshallah, want to make an announcement for this community, this beautiful community of Islamic Society of West Valley. We will be having a fundraiser for this masjid to continue the beautiful work that this masjid is doing. It's going to happen on November 17th in Algora Hills. It's an ISWB fundraiser. So November 17th, mark that in your calendar. It's not too far off. It's literally, today's November 1st, right? So it's almost 16 days away. So keep that in your calendar, make sure you are there. We always benefit from this community when they come out together. We will have Maryam Ali, the daughter of Muhammad Ali rahimahullah, and Sheikh Abdul Rauf Al-Khawal. They will be there as well, inshallah. So reach out to us for tickets and more information on Facebook. And I'm here today on behalf of Ummah Clinic. Alhamdulillah, we have a table over there. Ummah Clinic has been doing amazing work in the community since 1996. We have established 2 clinics that are operated by Muslims, mashallah, built by Muslim students from UCLA since the 90s. We have 2 clinics right now, and right now we are in the process of building 2 more clinics. Alhamdulillah, we've already begun construction on the 3rd site, so any money that we collect today will go towards the construction of our 3rd clinic. The Muslims in the 90s and the 2000s, they gave to establish these clinics, and the work that's happening there today, it's amazing. We are literally helping people for free to low cost. And we are working in South Central Los Angeles, a place where there's a lot of poverty, a lot of need. So Muslims are at the forefront of being there for the people and helping them. So be there and donate so that the sadaqah jariyah that will be in your account of good deeds, may Allah reward you. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give barakah to this community. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put barakah in our health and our wealth. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen the youth of this community, mashallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure those who are sick in our community. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give those Jannah for those who have passed away in our community, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen us in our iman, in our taqwa, in our piety. Ameen. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم اعز الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم اعز الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم اعز الإسلام والمسلمين عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا وإقام الصلاة